6 terms were discussed in this task. The first 3 terms, value, cost, and price, are used in various ways by the general public. As a result, they can be confusing. You might hear, is it valuable? Did it cost much? What was its price? They all sound the same, but they are not. For our purposes, however, it is necessary to clearly define these 3 terms and use these definitions consistently throughout this course. Value is the monetary worth of an item based on the benefits anticipated to accrue to the owner as a result of ownership. A collector anticipates greater benefit to owning a period 18th century Chippendale chair than owning a reproduction chair from the 1950s. Accordingly, the value to that collector of a period chair will far exceed the value of the reproduction. Market participants reach a consensus on the value of property through their marketplace activities of buying and selling. This, in turn, establishes an item's value. In short, value is what most buyers pay to acquire a property and what most sellers accept as payment for a property. Value is never a fact, but rather it's an opinion of the worth of the property. But value can vary over time or with the definition of value being used. Is it market value, liquidation value, fair market value? Is it value as of 5 years ago or as of today? So when defining value, we must qualify it as being a specific type of value, of which there are many, as of a specified date. How do we measure value? We measure value by means of market data, that is, asking prices for comparable properties or the amount the comparable properties have sold for in the past. As a result, value is justified. That is, it's an opinion of worth based on actual market data. Values can be based either from the perspective of market participants or from the perspective of the client, or from both. This concept will be discussed in greater detail later in the course, but for now, suffice it to say that types of market values are based on the market perspective, which takes into consideration assignment conditions that market participants consider normal and typical, such as buyers and sellers being knowledgeable and there being a reasonable exposure time. Other types of value, such as replacement value, are often based not on the perspective of the market, but on the user's perspective instead, such as replacement value considering the need for the insured to procure a replacement property within a reasonable time from within the market in which the insured customarily shops. Cost is merely the price needed to replace a property through purchasing or manufacturing a suitable substitute. For instance, my new tires recently cost me $420, or it cost me $300 to have the artist paint another portrait of Aunt Betty to replace the one lost in the fire. Price is the amount of money the seller is asking for an item that is being offered for sale. In some marketplaces, such as Sears or the Home Depot, price is fixed. In other marketplaces, such as yard sales and flea markets, price is often subject to negotiation. For instance, while at a yard sale, you might say to your spouse, the owner is asking $15 for the trunk. The price is $15, but I'll ask if she'll take less. Note that while value is a justifiable opinion, cost and price are facts and are not always justified. Sometimes cost and price are too low or too high when put in the context of typical marketplace activity. Assignment conditions are those conditions which vary with the assignment and which could affect the appraiser's opinions or conclusions. Therefore, assignment conditions must be identified and disclosed within the final report, so that intended users are well informed and better able to gauge the credibility of the report as it might be affected by these assignment conditions. Included in assignment conditions are limiting conditions, extraordinary assumptions, hypothetical conditions, jurisdictional exceptions, and other conditions that might be encountered. Limiting conditions are adverse conditions experienced by the appraiser during the course of the assignment that could possibly affect the appraiser's conclusions. Examples include the electricity being turned off, insufficient time to inspect the property, items destroyed by fire being unavailable for inspection, not being allowed to remove a print from its frame for closer inspection, or not having the keys to check the operating condition of the family car. Limiting conditions must be disclosed in the appraisal report. Note that limiting conditions often give rise to extraordinary assumptions. Extraordinary assumptions are assumptions which the appraiser is forced to make. Without making the extraordinary assumptions, the appraiser cannot complete the assignment. An example is making the extraordinary assumption that, as reported by the client, the lost teapot was sterling silver and not merely silver plate, or that the car was in good working order, despite the appraiser being unable to operate the car because the keys were missing. In the first example, there was the limiting condition that the teapot was no longer available for inspection. That limiting condition forced the appraiser to make the extraordinary assumption, based on convincing information provided by the client, that the teapot was made of sterling silver. The limiting condition of having no car keys available required the extraordinary assumption that the car was in working order. Extraordinary assumptions must be disclosed in the appraisal report, along with a statement that the use of the extraordinary assumptions might have affected the assignment results.